Okay. So for your fiction shaping sheets, where you have the adventures of an Indian princess, Arletta, whose mother and father died, she's hosted by a foster family. Okay. Very good. Good summary.
Made me so upset.
All right. See, the main idea of this is to show people how like to stereotype others.
Wait, where's that?
Number 2. It's all right. Like to. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I didn't even see that.
Okay. The author's choice of displaying the main character's inner conflict and character development through the story impacts her because it shows how one can be stereotyped when not even heard by society. I think that's going to work, but let's see. All right, so the first paragraph should be about characters' inner conflict. Okay, the author shows us how in touch she is with her heritage and continues to express how disgusted she is by this generalization. Okay, though Arletta is upset the whole time, she is especially taken of God, want to take a picture, she froze, couldn't believe she was serious. I was bona fide Cherokee chief, what's wrong with these people, can't they see this guy's fake? Without this quote, the reader. Okay, so, and this is the same commentary just about everybody gets. I want you guys to get in there with the cursor. Why is it not typing?
Oh, that might be my fault. No, it's not. Never mind.
I see an S up here in the corner, and I see a G. Can I not type?
It's me.
I can't edit it for some reason. Okay, so you guys are going to have to listen, and I'll try to...
I'll put notes.
Okay, cool. So I'm looking at number 3 right here. Okay, do the author make a good choice? Why or why not? So I just want you to develop this section right here. Oh, that's funny. I can highlight it, but I can't do that. Tell me more about her inner conflict and this idea of the stereotyping that the family uses, because you have this idea of stereotyping up here, and then when you say in your thesis it's inner conflict, I don't really even feel like so much like it's conflict. It's not inner conflict. It's actually really external. These people are a bunch of bumpkins who don't realize that they're being even stereotypical. So I would probably change that first term as far as what the author's choice is, and you might even want to flip it around and put it on the family. The author's choice to create a family that is not aware. Or, because they're not mean people, is what's kind of sad about the story. Yeah. They just don't know any better. They're just ignorant. But they're not unkind.
Yeah. I think I said that somewhere though.
Yeah, so maybe for your first author's choice, maybe focus not so much on Arletta, but what the family does. But then you can also bring in Arletta's reactions to the family as evidence of their ignorance. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And where am I still? Fiction. Okay, here we go. Sorry. All right, use another quote. Told her to say Cherokee. She's disgusted by this. Good. Okay, so you have a good example here, again, of the family doing something very distasteful. And so in your commentary for number 5, again, talk about how this shows that they're stereotyping, that they don't know any better, how it upsets her. Mm-hmm. And in your thesis, you say that it's a good choice because it shows how one can be stereotyped. Also bring in the idea of how that stereotyping makes one feel. Okay. So kind of do it like the author's choice is the creative family doesn't know any better. It impacts the reader because they show the impact of stereotyping. And then in your commentary, develop how it makes Arletta feel. So the quote will show the family, and then your commentary shows how it makes Arletta feel and the overall impact of stereotypes. Okay. So make that your first body paragraph. All right, so the author displays Arletta's character development. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so what's the overall point of this second paragraph? So you say they develop, quote, they develop her character, but I'm not really seeing that. I'm seeing more, again, the interaction between the family and Arletta. And again, how are we connecting back to this idea of stereotypes that is in your thesis? Let me look back up here again. Thesis, character development. Okay. So again, if our thesis is going to focus on stereotypes, everything in our commentary needs to go back to that idea. So really with this piece, what about imagery? Is that a possibility? Like, I believe like there's like there's a statue of a Cherokee guy. Mm-hmm. I believe that the trading post itself is developed mm-hmm. in a lot of detail. Maybe we can talk about the family's actions and how it impacts Arletta, and then also the author's use of imagery and how that furthers the stereotypes. Okay. Can we do that? Yeah. Okay, so we'll do the characterization of the family and the imagery. So the second body paragraph, we're going to scrap and go there. Okay. And I apologize for going so quickly, but it's the nature of it. Okay, moving on. So you guys did First Love. Very good. Okay. She's entranced by an older boy and lets her infatuation get the best of her. Okay. The author's purpose of writing this piece is to persuade the reader. First Love is effective in trying to persuade the reader about difficulties of love by using pathos and enticing diction. Ooh, very interesting diction. All right, so the author's use of pathos is effective. I cried hot tears on my pillow. She's in distress about not seeing the man of her dreams, and it caused her literal tears. The author adds this detail. Okay. What I'm missing is, what is the author trying to persuade us of? Oh, the difficulties of love. Okay, so that being said, here in number 2, right here, in number 3, in your several sentences.
Are we still in the intro?
No, I'm in the body paragraph. Sorry. Do you see where I'm at?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just highlighted sentence number 3 in body paragraph 1. You guys need to continue, again, to connect to the idea of the thesis about if she's trying to persuade us that love is hard. I think I used love as a battlefield with one of my groups. Again, come back to that idea. She's crying these hot pillows on her bed. Everything's falling apart. The whole world is trying to keep them away. Okay? She's using these emotional encounters to try to make us feel bad for her and show us how hard love is. So again, connect to that idea of the difficulties of love.
Can you see me typing in this?
No.
Okay.
All right. He had no interest in me. He was flattered. Okay. Again. Good. Okay. Love isn't reciprocated. This breaks her heart. And again, just put that very obvious connection back to the thesis. This shows how love is difficult because. But this is a very good explanation. Okay, so I'm going to move on to your diction. I fell in love when my hormones were awakened from a long slumber. Okay, hormones awaken, dives deep in the internal feelings when you experience love. Okay. I also like the word slumber in this quote. I would linger there for a little bit because it also shows like she's maturing and she's kind of like waking up from her childhood into her adolescence. So I would, because we have awake and slumber in the same sentence, right? Mm-hmm. My hormones awakened from their long slumber. Maybe create some duality between those words. Why does she choose awake and asleep? What does that show us about her body, about her emotions? And you guys have all been that age. You know, this is a story you can probably identify with on some level. And then still as well as mesmerizing eyes. Okay, spell and mesmerizing. Okay, and again, you do a good job pulling out the words, but again, please go back to your thesis with everything. Okay, being under spell, being mesmerized. It's almost like she wasn't in control of loving him, which again shows you how difficult love is. You don't get a choice. You don't get a say. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, I'm going to scoot on down to your poem. All right, you guys are without commercials. Okay, good. Okay, so when I say the main idea of the prompt for number 2 for the intro paragraph for your poem, just the idea, not specific to this poem, but the idea that authors... that themes interact within poetry. Mm-hmm. So for number 2, keep it general. Poets will write and they will have themes that interact within their poems. In this poem, the themes are. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So the internal theme of loving yourself and the external theme about... Okay, very good. So accept and deny. Inside and outside. Good. Okay. Stop bleaching your skin. Good. Okay. This quote displays the theme... They're trying me today. Okay, here's what I would do for this one. Because I don't know if you noticed in the poem, she goes through all different sort of ethnicities and types of women. She tells white women not to tan, black women not to bleach. She says don't cut your nose, don't unfold your eyes, right? What I would almost do here is maybe go through the 4 types of women. Let me think. Hang on, let me see what your next paragraph is before I say that. Peer pressure. All right, so stop bleaching your skin. I would add in a second quote there just to add some oomph to it. So if it's a stop bleaching your skin is for the black women, I would maybe add in the quote about stop tanning your skin. Because she's talking to all women in this case, and you can bring out the universality of her message if you use both of those quotes. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You're giving me the funny face. We're good?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just...
No, you're okay. All right. Stop tanning yourself. Okay, so again, you use the tanning in the next one. I think they're more powerful put together. So you can show that contrast, right? All right, so body paragraph 2, peer pressure, needing to see what, good. Let's see, they feel people change naturally. Let's see, false fun and wildness. Okay, when we get into the end of the poem and you start talking about Adam and Eve, you need to re-examine how you looked at that. Because I think they copied skillfully as Adam, the idea that Eve came from Adam's rib, so like women are a copy of a man, right? Mm-hmm. But then she says original as Eve. Eve was the first woman. Who influenced Eve? Who peer pressured Eve? Nobody. There was no other woman. So when you say Adam and Eve demonstrating insecurity, that's not actually what she's getting at. The idea that when Eve existed, depending on your belief system, there were no commercials, there were no other women, so Eve got to be who Eve wanted to be. Yeah. So you need to really bring in that symbol of Eve and the originality of her, per that line, and use it to prove your idea. So really linger there. Okay? All right, I'm going to turn off the recording. What are your questions before I do?
Oh my god, you were actually recording that?
The whole thing.
Like us talking about Harry Styles?
No.
Oh my gosh. I just got that.
I just got that. All right, I'm going to get ended here.